I woke up and told my wife, why did I do that? I don't know. I just don't know what the hell goes on. I remember one thing, I had a very hard moment in that part of my life, but I assure you in that age, I could have put that clown in the first round, but I sold my soul, and I'm ashamed of it.
Is it true that you made $170 million from this fight?
I made a lot of money, the most money I've made ever.
60 million households, Jake.
250 million people.
Well, that is so
It's all downhill
crazy.
from here.
No, for sure.
I peaked.
How do you think the Jake Paul-Anthony Joshua fight plays out?
I don't know. I want to make sure. I believe once I see him in the ring.
If Paul starts his boxing career earlier, could Jake Paul have been a champion?
Anthony Joshua did not only knock out Jake Paul. He broke a fake story and pushed Mike Tyson to quietly admit he chose money instead of real danger. Boxing now feels staged in a way that may never be fixed. This moment feels unreal. Looking back helps us understand that this was never a true fight. It was a slow betrayal that finally burst when a real heavyweight faced a celebrity and reality returned at once.
I told y'all, they made Mike Tyson retract his statement on Twitter. They made him rewrite a post on top of deleting a post. Yeah, I told you that fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul was rigged. I told you that I don't care what Mike Tyson is saying now, he have to do that to secure his money. He's still an investment.
This is where the situation turns chaotic because it forces hard truths into the open. Mike Tyson could have ended Jake Paul whenever he wanted. Everyone in the arena knew it, and Jake knew it too. That is why the Anthony Joshua knockout hit so hard, because it revealed that the limits were fake while the danger was always real. Once the truth comes out, it cannot be controlled, no matter how many statements are released. The moment Joshua dropped Paul in round 5, something broke in the story. Suddenly every past fight was questioned, and viewers could be felt replaying the Tyson match in their minds, asking the same risky questions at the same time. Why did he not do it? Why did he hold back? What made this moment different? Once these thoughts begin, they never end.
And he talked about it. He said, I don't want to do an exhibition against Floyd Mayweather. Yeah. He said, I'm only doing real fights. And of course, I can't get up high in weight, but I'll fight him in a real fight at the weight that I'm at. But Jake Paul, I mean, as of right now, for what he's doing, it's good for what he's doing. But once he fights a real actual...
Everyone keeps calling this a mismatch, but that explanation is too shallow for what truly happened, because this was a revelation. This was reality taking control again, after years of ignoring natural limits. Anthony Joshua never rushed anything. He hunted the moment, and that made it terrifying. When a real fighter moves with that level of calm, it means he already knows the ending. Jake Paul felt that certainty getting closer with every round. Then round 6 arrived like a verdict. Not just because of the punch, but because of what it meant. That right hook did not only break bone, it broke the illusion. The illusion that this entire experiment could continue pretending to be real boxing. The second titanium plates entered the conversation, all laughter stopped, and anyone still smiling was either unaware or dishonest. What truly sent chills down my spine was Eddie Hearn saying he gave Jake his debut and AJ gave him his retirement because that was not hype. That was a farewell. Promoters do not speak with that kind of final tone unless they truly believe the curtain has fallen.
You had said something to the effect of this would end Jake Paul's career. After what you saw tonight, do you think that Jake should continue to box, or what do you think the future holds for him?
Yeah, no, I really take my hat off. So, I mean, we have to see if it is a broken jaw. Those injuries are very difficult to come back from. But as AJ said, like that last shot would have knocked out a lot of heavyweights. And I know he went down heavy, but you know, he was conscious on the floor. And I thought his game plan, although obviously very negative early on.
Looking back at Tyson shows the planning and the control as he kept his power held back. This was never balanced and was always going to go one way. Joshua destruction creates a harsh side-by-side comparison because one fighter followed the rules while the other burned them down. History only remembers one of those choices, no matter how big the payday was. I do not care how many people shout conspiracy because Tyson opened that door himself when he admitted he does not remember the fight and woke up asking why he even agreed to it. That is not the voice of a man who feels content. That is the voice of someone who knows he gave up something sacred at the table, and that kind of regret grows with time and never disappears. Let me be very clear because this matters. Anthony Joshua did not need interviews after the fight because his actions said everything and his silence made it stronger. When silence becomes the loudest sound, it means the truth is too obvious to twist. And every influencer boxer watching felt their confidence collapse, whether they admit it or not.
Yeah, but it's not from like talking.
That opens the door to something far darker that no one wants to face yet because it threatens the entire business model. If one real heavyweight can tear apart years of manufactured hype in 6 rounds, then how fragile was this whole system from the start? If that question makes you uneasy, that is exactly the point, because someone behind closed doors is already in panic mode trying to control what this revelation truly means.
I kind of blanked out a little. Listen, know what I remember? Coming back from the first round, and then the next day I remember Jacob doing some kind of, I don't know, what was he doing at the ring?
Oh, yeah, a little bow at the end, he bowed.
And that's the last thing I remember. You know, but the day after the fight, right after, the day after, I woke up and told my wife, why did I do that? You know, I don't know, I just don't.
I cannot stop replaying the moment Tyson watched that shattered jaw footage because the human body does not lie and marketing stories cannot argue with broken bones, and seeing real proof of what true power does forces you to face every time you chose to hold back, and this whole situation feels unreal unless guilt is already eating at him more than he admits. Here is a dangerous thought that cannot be ignored. If Tyson is now openly admitting that money affected outcomes, then how many other fights are about to be questioned? Because once trust starts breaking, it spreads fast, and boxing has always survived on belief, and that belief is bleeding right now. Another thing that stays with me is Joshua's calm presence through all of this, because calm fighters are the most dangerous and the most honest, and his control felt like someone correcting a system instead of chasing praise. And corrections never stop at one place. They send shockwaves. So think carefully about who might feel exposed next.
To this Floyd fight, maybe we can have a rematch. He did well, but I want to try it again.
Is that something that you would be interested in terms of righting the wrong?
This story does not end with knockout clips or press conference quotes, because the silence afterward feels planned. When things go quiet this fast, it usually means deals are being adjusted and stories are being controlled. I am not convinced because this situation is still unfolding and something darker feels close. When it finally appears, this knockout will feel like the first warning. What keeps repeating in my mind is how predictable this all looks in hindsight, like the sport finally ran out of patience with pretending and snapped back to reality. For years the line between entertainment and real competition stretched so thin it was ready to break, and Anthony Joshua happened to be standing there when it did. I keep thinking about how confidence slowly turns into arrogance without anyone noticing the exact moment, because that is what destroyed this entire project. Not ambition and not money, but the belief that reality could be negotiated if the noise was loud enough and the audience was big enough. There is something unsettling about watching a storyline collapse live, because it exposes how much fandom relies on trust. Once that trust cracks, you start questioning everything from the past and wondering what was real and what was protected. Joshua did not just win a fight. He brought accountability back, and that is what many people have not fully processed yet. Accountability does not go viral, but it stays with fighters long after cameras shut off. I cannot ignore the contrast between preparation and promotion, because one grows in silence and the other needs constant noise. When they meet, silence always wins, not loudly, but permanently, like gravity ignoring advertising. What troubles me is how acceptable it became to treat real fighters as story props instead of human beings with years of damage and knowledge, because once you forget that you forget, they can end everything with one decision. There is also sadness in realizing even legends are not immune, because even Mike Tyson was pulled into the machine, which shows how powerful it has become. This moment reshaped the emotional order of the sport, where loud voices faded and quiet professionals kept their credibility. Every replay of the knockout feels heavier, not because of force but because of meaning. It drew a clear line between eras and reminded everyone that experience is built from pain and learning, not time alone. The irony is that chasing legitimacy destroyed the illusion, because true competition does not care about branding or timing. Many fighters likely felt relief and fear at the same time, because the sport defended itself, but scrutiny could come for them next. The aftermath matters more than the fight, because it shapes careers, decisions, matchmaking, and belief in future promises. Joshua's patience stands out because he never rushed, and that patience only comes from past punishment. Nothing felt cruel or excessive. It felt exact, and that made it more damaging because there was nowhere else to place blame. The sport needed this moment, even if it resisted it, because without reality checks, boxing drifts into theater. Theater without real stakes becomes empty. A quiet reckoning is happening now for an entire way of promoting fights because fans still enjoy spectacle, but they just remembered how valuable authenticity feels. This will change how crossover talks happen because real crossover requires respect, not borrowed credibility. The mental impact may last longer than the physical because doubt once planted does not leave easily. What hits hardest is how fast admiration turns into analysis when protection disappears. The same audience that believed the story will tear it apart once it falls. There is no clean ending here. Just the sense that something shifted and has not settled yet, like the ground after an earthquake. The most unsettling part is knowing this is not the final chapter, because once a weakness is exposed, the next break could be even more violent and far less forgiving.